3 years ago, I was in a position where I was just like you, where I had all this drive, all this ambition, but my body didn't reflect that. I was crushing it hard on the business I was working towards, which was in music, making music every single night, staying up until 2 a.m. on most nights, chasing that dream, and going to the gym every single day, yet my body did not reflect those results. Flash forward to now, I'm training less, happier than ever, chasing a new dream, a new business, and all the while just having a more balanced, structured life. And in this video, I'm gonna walk you through step by step how I got to where I am today, so you too can achieve the same results that I got, if not better. So just lock in, turn off all notifications, you know the drill, and just watch the whole entire video because this might be the most influential one that you watch all year. All right, what's up? This video is gonna be insanely valuable. Just going through my whole transformation from this low confident, low energy, 5 out of 10 physique version of myself who's putting all of this time and energy into the gym yet saw no results to really speak for it, to where I am today, where I've built the body of my dreams, and I finally respect the man I see in the mirror, and I feel like my life is a lot more aligned to the path where I want to go down to. And I'm not living in the gym. I have time for other things like building my business, which I'm doing right now. I have time for friends, family, social life, so nothing got sacrificed like it used to be. So how I got here. Back then, I was lifting about 5 to 7 days a week, missing my workouts, and constantly changing the split to the most optimal one, quote unquote. Because that's what the science-based lifter said, change up all these workouts. People on Reddit would say to do like the fat or push-pull legs or these other big weird splits that at the end of the day didn't really matter because you can succeed with any split as long as you can be consistent with it. But I didn't know that at the time because that was at the beginning of my journey. And I was also on top of that, stuck in a constant cycle, just waking up with low energy and dreading the day, showing up to work, not my best self, not confident, already tired and fatigued, and working on a job where I was on my feet all day, passing out my work clothes the second I got home, going to the gym and running late at night and having all this energy. So I would stay up until 2 a.m. chasing my work at the time, which I was trying to make it. It's like the music industry. And let's say that I'm on a whole different path now, but that would just repeat every single day over and over and over again. It just felt like my life had control over me. I always had the drive, but my body at the time compared to now did not reflect my ambition, and that killed my confidence. And the problem just was never my work ethic. It was just a lack of structure now, think about it. My life was chaotic, to say the least. But once I built systems, instead of living in that chaotic life, everything began to change, and I built the body that I have today. Now, who is this for? If you're a high performer in business, sales, or life, but your body doesn't match your discipline, ambition, or success, this is for you. If you train consistently, but you still feel stuck and you're tired of second guessing what actually works, this is for you. If you want to build a lean, powerful physique without sacrificing your freedom, career, or social life, this is for you. If you're done piecing together influencer plans and you want a system that is tailored and adapts to your needs, this is for you. And finally, if you're the type of man who invests in himself because you know your body reflects your standards, this is for you. Now, who's this not for? If you want a 30-day shred, quick fix, or some BS shortcut to abs, this is not for you. I'm not here to BS. If you expect elite results, but you aren't willing to change your habits, routine, or mindset, this isn't for you. If you aren't willing to be coached, if you resist structure, or you still want to do things your way, even though they're not really working, this is not for you. If you delay action with excuses like, oh, next week, or when life calms down, or when everything kind of falls together, this definitely is not for you. And finally, if you treat fitness like a cost, not a personal leadership investment, this is not for you. Now, the truth. Everyone thinks you have to live in these extremes to see results. Social media definitely has part to blame for you see all these guys who train 7 days a week, 2+ hours gym session, 30 grams of protein, all this information overload. Everyone's saying everyone just wants your attention. So they say all these weird advice that sounds too good to be true. Like, oh, go to the gym every single day and sacrifice everything else. It's just not the case. What you actually need is structure and direction, not more chaos, not more volume, not more gym time, just structure and direction, because focused, aligned effort leads to results, not this inconsistent all or nothing output where you're either going to go to the gym every day or none at all. Because optimal is not about about you doing more, going or doing more and more work, which is what I had to find out the hard way. It's about what you can do reasonably for decades, right? Training that you can reasonably do for decades that works with your life and not against it, and that it can compound over time. The gym shouldn't consume your schedule. It should elevate your life. The gym is a priority. It's important to look and feel attractive and confident in your body, but that shouldn't be your whole identity, right? That's just part of it. It's one priority. You got your career, your business, everything else to work up towards. And this is how you stay consistent and win in the long run. But don't worry, I'm not going to let that happen to you. You don't have to train like some robot bodybuilder or spend your life micromanaging food to love the way that you look. You just need a system that fits your lifestyle and your goals. If you want this to be you, I'll show you exactly how to build a strong, lean, confident body without sacrificing business or freedom. Finally, follow a system that fits your life, eliminates all the guesswork, and actually sticks. Eat to fuel your lifestyle, see results without obsessing over every single macro and calorie. Wake up with energy, structure, and momentum, and know exactly what you're going to do each and every day. And finally, align your body, mindset, and habits with the man that you're looking to become. Now, introducing the high performer method. I built this method because I was doing everything right, putting in all this effort, doing like training every single day, and just maxing out all of that and trying to find the most optimal split, but never feeling like the results matched my drive and the work I was putting in. My discipline was there, but the direction to guide it was not. So it was just all like chaotic discipline and effort that wasn't actually focused to anything, that wasn't focused towards my goals. So eventually, I created a system that helped me build the body I've always wanted without living in the gym, not doing those 2+ hour sessions. In the following steps, I'm going to outline the entire process A to Z of what I did to accomplish these results so you too can use my high performer method to build a lean, confident body without living in the gym. And there's 4 pillars to the high performing method: self leadership, performance driven strength, energy based nutrition, recovery, and regulation. Back then, when I had no self leadership, my life was leading me rather than me leading my life. I winged everything. My day had no plan because I thought being spontaneous was fun and good, and I didn't need any structure, and that would take too much time. Only to find out that, I had all these goals, all these ambitions. Like I wanted to make it in music, I wanted to make it in my fitness and build the dream body, but I didn't know exactly what habits, what kind of stuff I needed to start doing, and like at what times to actually do that. I didn't have any structure in place. So my effort ended up not being matching the results that I wanted. So eventually, I just sat down with a piece of paper and a pen, wrote down exactly who's the man that I wanted to become, what goals I had within the next like 3 to 12 months, or even up to 10 years of what I wanted to actually achieve, and started planning, like started building structure around that. So as you can see right here, it's a screenshot of my Google Calendar. Everything's time blocked for my work, to my relationship time, meals, workouts. Everything's all timed out because that way I can actually make sure I'm living like the life I want. A balanced life where everything's being hit. Nothing's being left behind. I'm not wasting any time like I used to, and I can actually make progress towards my goals. I also began journaling daily. This is a screenshot from my Instagram stories. Every single day I take a video of myself journaling, writing down exactly, my priorities for the day, whether that's making content, doing a workout, et cetera, et cetera. Just adding structure to make sure I'm actually doing like the habits I need to become the man that I want to become, or to reach my goals. I also write down things I'm grateful for just to ensure that I'm staying with like a positive, grounded mindset. Because my mindset tends to gravitate towards like the negative, and it's something I need to reprogram to keep my skin in the game. Not let life wear me down when I'm constantly failing in my business or my workouts. I also do something called biofeedback, where I track my body's signals to ensure, it helps me prevent having to obsess over macros, because instead of worrying about macros, which I'll talk about in a second, in like the next couple slides from now, that, I can track it whether or not I'm under eating by how my body feels. And then I'll write down my notes, or just like I'll like brainstorm that the night before, or like the day of, just what's going on through my head, just writing everything out, just get that out of my head and onto a piece of paper. Or I'll answer like a mindset prompts like, who's the man I'm becoming? Am I going towards the right direction or not? And just to give myself more clarity throughout the day. And finally, I'll write down my meals to see like what's working, what's not. Am I eating enough or am I not? Just having more awareness is important too. Being aware of if my effort, if what I'm doing is not just right, but also enough. And after all this, planning my non-negotiables for my training, work, meals, and sleep, journaling every single day, I finally feel in control of my life, and like just more like I'm leading myself rather than my life leading me. Performance-driven strength. So back then, of course, again, lifted every single day, program hopped to find the best workouts, blah, 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 burned out. I never tracked progress too, because I thought lifting to failure was good enough, and that feeling the burn was meant a good workout. But all that I was doing was just lifting like the same weights for like months and months and months. So what I eventually started to do was I noticed that since I was being more inconsistent with my workouts. I wasn't really enjoying going to the gym every single day. I started lifting 3 times a week and saw way more progress with that, focusing on the compound lifts, specifically from these movements, the squat, hinge, lunge, push, pull, carry, and core. These are the foundational human movements. And if you target these through your training, you can ensure that it's going to be a good workout like plan, no matter what it is, whether you're going to the gym 2 days a week or 7 days a week. If you can evenly mix these into your workout plan, you'll be in a great spot to build muscle that isn't like, you're not going to have like a huge upper body and like small legs. No, you're going to target everything. So you have a balanced, confident, like strong body that reflects your drive. I also worked on what's known as progressive overload, where I'm increasing the reps, increasing the weight, or at least bettering my form each and every week. So something every single week is improving. I'm not just staying stagnant at one aspect. I also realized that more isn't better. Better is better after all this. Realizing that, okay, like back then I was arguably doing more volume, more frequency, yeah, but that wasn't consistent. I wasn't being consistent with that because it wasn't really like it didn't fit with my lifestyle, so it wasn't working out for me. So better is going to be better in this case. If you can be consistent for decades, it's way better than being, having the most optimal plan for like a couple months and having to quit like I had to. Now, finally, I built a body that reflected my ambition, that reflected my drive, and the man that I wanted to become, and realized that the stuff that's considered boring works, and that we as people tend to overcomplicate things that are simple. It's never going to be sexy to say, lift 2 to 4 times a week, focus on these 7 movements, disperse them throughout your week, and you're going to be in a great spot to build a balanced aesthetic body. Energy-based nutrition. So back then, I used to undereat, skip meals, and I still do this now, but just a bit more modified. Practice fasting for that mental clarity. So I don't feel super sluggish when I'm working. Because I like to, in my schedule, I like to wake up, do my morning routine, work out, and then do my actual like deep work for my coaching and stuff like that. What I used to do back then was I wouldn't eat anything after my training. So I was just constantly in like this like high cortisol state from not eating enough, and of course from after my training. So I was feeling like on edge, like low energy after my workouts, like more anxious and stressed because I just wasn't eating enough to make up for it. Now I'm having like yogurt with like granola after my workouts. So it's modified. It's a bit more different. And of course, ensuring that I'm actually eating enough by tracking my body's signals. You know, Back then I tracked my food for 2 weeks and realized I was severely under eating. At the time I thought it was like bad sleep, but I upped my sleep and it wasn't that. So I realized it was my under eating. And I built some go-to meals that I can eat daily to avoid tracking macros. So, like again, like my yogurt, my eggs, and of course steak here and there. Just meals that I can have for breakfast, lunch, and dinner that are time efficient, nutritious, meet my calorie and macro goals, and of course are like can fuel my body's goals as well. And instead of having to track my macros all the time, I now track my body's biofeedback. Like, is my body telling me that I'm like fatigued all the time? Am I even after good sleep, do I still feel like crap, low energy, low motivation? I just up my food intake and it's a lot easier than having to track my macros each and every day. And I've seen great progress from that. I'm not saying you should never track your macros or calories. I'm just saying I don't want to live a life where I'm like a robot, bringing a scale on vacation and having to track every single bite and obsess over that. Like I'm not a bodybuilder. My goal is to build a body that reflects my ambition, not have like this perfect one that's going to take, hours a day and like all this like obsession to achieve. Recovery and regulation, the fourth and final pillar. The demands I was putting on my body was not matching the recovery that I needed. I was sleeping about 4 to 6 hours average a night. I always felt stressed and on edge from, not sleeping enough, not eating enough. But when I started prioritizing on top of all the other pillars, my deep sleep, where I had a more consistent sleep and wake up schedule, waking up around 5:30, going to bed around 9:30 to 10 p.m. I also track my sleep with this app called Sleep Cycle, which told me that I was snoring for 30 minutes a night. So I started putting on mouth tape, and that helped stop that. So even if I sleep, like back then, my 7 hours felt like 5 hours, but now it feels more like 7 hours because I'm getting deeper sleep and not snoring all night like I used to. I also have a screen cutoff time, 30 minutes before bed, non-negotiable, just not being on my phone, not scrolling, not doing any more work, because otherwise that's just going to keep me up all night. Another hard rule is cutting off caffeine 8 hours before bed, since caffeine has a half-life of 8 hours, meaning it's in your system for like 8 hours after drinking. I remember like back then I was having like coffee or like 4 or 5 p.m. and it would be so hard to fall asleep. As for tools for recovery, yoga has been essential for me, spending like 20 minutes a session, 2 to 3 times a week when I have free time, just to stretch out and just really helps, especially since I'm running and lifting. Just loosen up the body. It's time to like, I don't really like to meditate, but with yoga, it is like my meditation time to have like a nice clear head. I'm also doing stuff like breath work. Another screenshot I took from my Instagram stories of me doing what I call the nervous system reset. Whenever I feel anxious or stressed or like my life is coming out of control, maybe I wanted to do more work than I actually got done, or just feels like I'm really stressed like my business and building that, or I'm not seeing the results I want to see out of other areas of my life. I'll do breath work. So I'll do usually the 5-7-8 or box breathing techniques. The 5-7-8, that's just inhaling for 5 seconds, holding the breath for 7 seconds, exhaling for 8 seconds. Box breathing, I mean, I kind of change this up a bit depending on how I'm feeling. Sometimes it's 4 seconds inhale, 4 seconds hold, and 4 seconds exhale. Other times it's 5, 6, 7, 8 seconds. Depends on what I'm feeling. But these two really help just calm myself down and just help my nervous system reset. And last but not least, warm and cold showers. So there's 3 methods I tend to do. Before bed, I like to take a warm shower. It just helps relax the body. I feel like after a long day of work, I'm kind of in like this like hyperdrive, like overstimulated zone. Like a nice warm shower just helps like calm everything down and helps wind me down for bed or just some chill time with my girlfriend. Cold showers do the opposite. It's like a nice little wake me up, pick me up in the morning, especially when I'm feeling more brain foggy and just more tired. And sometimes for like the third method, I like to combine the two. Sometimes in the morning, I just don't want to take a full like cold shower. So what I'll do, especially if after like a workout, I'll take a warm shower in the beginning and then slowly but surely towards the end, make my way down to a cold shower. And that helps wake me up. So I get the benefits of both. The warm shower just helps, get me clean. I just feel good and like warm and relaxed from like the warm water after a workout. And the cold shower just wakes me up. The structure I was missing changed everything. For years, I trained hard, but always felt behind. Not only my body, but my energy and my mind as well. I just had no structure, no rhythm, just constant output, just shooting in the dark with no direction. But everything changed when I started treating fitness like a system and not as a grind, recognizing that, using like the principle to work smarter, not harder. I built a vision for who I wanted to become and then structure my days, training, and habits to match it. I now lift 3 times a week. I eat for performance and energy and lead myself through a system that supports my life rather than actively works against it. And I finally built a body that I'm proud of and a life that actually feels like mine, which I never thought was possible. Going from this guy who's training for 8 months, very skinny, like that average, like five, like you wouldn't even tell that I actually trained and I was training, putting all this effort in just to look like that, to where I'm today, where I'm working out less, making priorities outside of fitness, like spend time with my friends, time building my business, focusing on like good nutrition, good, like simple, time efficient meals, and overall just having a body that I respect, that I think matches my ambition and drive. And now that you understand exactly how this process works, I have an offer for you. If you're a driven guy who trains hard, but you still feel stuck, you have the work ethic, but not the structure, and you spend energy trying to optimize, but nothing sticks, and you're ready to build a lean, powerful body without living in the gym, simplify your nutrition without tracking every single bite, install a daily structure that allows you to lead yourself like the man that you know you're meant to become, then in the description down below, there's a link that you can click to book a one-to-one call with me where we can strategize helping you build a body that you know that you deserve without living in the gym with a high performer method. Thank you so much for watching that video. I hope you found immense value in it, because I know I sure would have when I was like having the 5 out of 10 body 3 years ago while chasing that 7-figure life. If you need help fast tracking the process of getting you that body that you deserve, that you know that you deserve, because you're putting in the effort, you've got the drive, you have the standards, you just need a body that reflects that. Book a call me, first link down below in the description, go check it out. We can build you a body within 180 days. So a lot faster than 3 years, which is how much it took me.